I'm Garland Woodsong. I'm the managing director of Woodsong Associates. We're the prime consultant of a consultant team hired by the Southern California Association of Governments to provide technical assistance to 5 cities across Southern California related to accessory dwelling units. And we are here because of the state of California's Regional Early Action Program, which provides a lot of funding to regions in response to the housing crisis to try to accelerate housing production. And that grant program is administered by the State of California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, and administered through the Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG. So tonight we're going to go through a brief introduction to the project and to ADUs, and then I'm going to hand it over to David Dent, the building official, to walk through the new GG-ready ADU application portal, which is a state-of-the-art digital interface to receive your building permit to build a new ADU and for other projects under the supervision of the building department. We're also going to talk about the new facelift for the ADU homepage on the City of Garden Grove website. The upcoming update to the ADU ordinance. We're going to give you an opportunity to respond to an ADU survey. We're going to talk about the upcoming pre-approved ADU plans, talk about local ADU progress, and then finally, we're going to ask you to stand up. We're going to give you some stickers and do an ADU voting exercise in the boards in the back. So introduction, this project, when it's done, will produce an ADU brochure, an ADU handbook. On the website, there's going to be an ADU calculator that'll tell you for the size of ADU that you might be interested in building, how much it might cost, and also how much you might be able to rent it for on the open market. We'll be producing an updated ADU fact sheet. We're reviewing the approval process of the city, sort of like an approval process audit. And we're advising on an updated ADU ordinance in response to recent changes in state law. So, accessory dwelling units, ADUs, are a family-friendly, community-creating form of housing. They've been around for centuries, although it's only in the past few years we've started calling them accessory dwelling units. They used to go by a number of different names. But there's a legal definition of what is an ADU. It's a small residence that shares a lot with a larger primary home, and it must have facilities for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation. If it has all those things, then it is an ADU. If it's missing one of those things, then it's not an ADU. So there's a number of different types of ADUs. There's an attached conversion. Think of like when you have an attached garage and you convert that to an ADU, or other space that's attached to a house. There's a detached conversion. That's like if you have a detached garage and you convert it to an ADU. A new attached ADU is when you take a chunk of your yard next to your house and you build an ADU there, but it's still attached to the house. A new detached ADU is when you build a new ADU in the yard and it's not connected to the house, it's at least 6 feet away. And then there's a junior ADU, which is a conversion of interior space to an ADU that's 500 square feet or less. And a junior ADU under California state law does not need to have its own bathroom. It can actually share a bathroom with the main house as long as it has its own exterior entrance. So why are ADUs important? ADUs provide neighborhood scale affordable housing. They're smaller, so they cost less. It's quite that simple. And state regulations require cities to allow ADUs and plan for sufficient housing to meet housing demand under the Regional Housing Needs Allocation process, sometimes called RHNA, and also require cities to streamline the ADU approval process and approve ADUs within 60 days of an application for a building permit being submitted. ADUs are less expensive. They have lesser environmental impacts. They help retain the next generation in the city. So Garden Grove housing prices have more than doubled over the past 10 years, which is not unusual. A lot of cities have seen really rapid price escalations over the past decade. But what that means is that if you bought into Garden Grove more than 10 years ago, you might not be able to afford to buy into the city today. And your kids might not be able to afford to buy their own place when they move out in Garden Grove. ADUs can provide a lower cost way for the kids to stay in town, a lower cost housing option. The other side of the coin is elders. ADUs can provide a way for older folks to age in community, build an ADU in the backyard and move into it and rent out the main house or however that looks. ADUs provide more housing options, which is critical to retaining folks in the community as housing prices go up. And ADUs also provide more tax revenue to the city, which is important. So why build an ADU? It's a rather unique homeowner-initiated housing type. It's an opportunity to build generational wealth. It provides a return on investment as a rental property. And by the way, the larger the ADU you build, all other things being equal, the greater the generational wealth that you can accumulate if you can afford it. We've done some pro forma analyses, and that's what they tell us across the board. It provides flexibility to share space with friends and family, to age in place, age in community, multi-generational living options, and community living options. So that's a quick overview of why you might want to build an ADU. Now, if you get to the point where you want to pull a building permit, there's a brand new option in Garden Grove called the GG Ready ADU Application Portal. And joining us on stage now to introduce you to this is David Dent.
But again, I'm David Dent, the building official here at the City of Garden Grove, and we've developed over the last, I say about 18 months of developing a new permitting system. So this system, along with all the other projects that we take through the building department, has really been focused on allowing an ease of application for the ADUs and the junior ADUs. So as we further develop our process and we implement future streamlined efforts, we will be introducing a new GG Ready permitting system. So I'll walk through and I'll see if I can project at the same time. So as you guys come onto the home page for the City of Garden Grove, we have a building and safety tab here at the bottom. So once you're in this tab, and soon we'll have some other highlights and features of where to find this, but for now, you go into the building and safety website, and right at the top, you're going to see this development access website. We branded it GG Ready because we're ready for you to submit your ADUs, so we wanted to make it simple and easy for you guys to submit. So simply coming into this website, you'll click on here and it takes you to the actual home page which you'll log into. It gives you a quick briefing of what projects that you can submit through the portal. So you can do your commercial projects, your residential projects, your engineering projects, and your other permits. So once you see if your category of project fits within these guidelines, you're going to log in. This is what the page looks like. It'll ask you for your email, create a password, and then you're going to create an account. So as you go through this process, it's the same for everybody. You at least need an email, and you at least need a password to create that. And once you've created your password, it takes you into your portal. So everybody's portal homepage looks the same. It begins you on the process of selecting which application you'd want to apply for. So we have a residential, you have your commercial projects, your others, and your engineering permits. Now, if you're not computer savvy, that's A-okay, because this process is also available at City Hall where you can come down and actually apply in person still. So we still do want a full breadth of applicants, whether they are computer savvy or not. One of my permit techs will assist you through the process. You would just simply tell him the information and they will verbalize it over the counter and then print up the application paperwork so you can have something to take home and have for your records. But for the most part, it is 100% digital in the sense that once you create your login from any website or access to website, you can enter and see your project in the process. So the big thing about this whole program is the transparency of our permitting process. As we all know, the city used to be a black hole. You take your plans in and hopefully they come out with a stamp. Here I want to take you through the various aspects of your project, from when your application gets submitted, for when it gets assigned to somebody so you know who's it assigned to, and you know each process as you go through, and you can now even pay online. And again, if you can't pay online, A-okay, you can always come down to City Hall and we'll walk you through that process. But as we are for today, we're here mainly for the ADUs and the junior ADUs. So we'll focus on those available applications online. So as you can see, we gave them their own application. They're not hidden along with others in the residential section. You can come right in, log right in, and see ADU or junior ADU. So whichever one you want to select and go into, it's right there for you to see. And once you select this particular project, again, you're punching in your address. It's going to ask you through a various amount of questions. It's going to ask you, are you doing an ADU conversion attached, ADU conversion detached, ADU attached new, and ADU detached new. So it's pretty simple. So you can't go wrong with what you really want to select for this particular project scope. And you're going to put your valuation on there. You're going to describe it a little bit as far as the size and number of bedrooms. You're going to add in your contact information or whoever else. So what this program does is once you enter anybody into the contact list, they will get a notification as well. So as you go through each part of the project, whether it's the application, the received, approval, everybody on this list is going to get an email that states what's happening with their project. And then as you go through, is it a code case, which is converting an illegal into a legal unit? And soon you'll get further explanation on what this section is, but we will be discussing that. You're going to come down, and if you don't know any of these, some of them are required, you can make your lucky guess, because our permit staff and the planning staff will vet your application along with your plans and fill in any information that you might have missed. So again, are you going to be adding a new meter, water meter, gas meter, electrical meter, a new sewer connection, electric meter? And again, we have help. So if you do need any assistance with these questions, you can always pick up the phone and call my department. And then you're going to be going through the privy of electrical outlets, plumbing, mechanical, and such. And then you're going to click the agreement and submit and create your application. So the moment you create your application, and again, this is the portion that I'm showing you, the back office. Here's what it looks like on our end. As you can see, we've launched this program 2 weeks ago, and already these were the ones that were brought over from our older system. These are all the newer ones that have come in just a week and a half's worth of time. So your project gets submitted to us. It's on a list. And again, most of the information you see here is the same information you guys will see on your end. And what I'll do is I'll select an ADU project so you can see what that looks like. So again, these are all the projects that were submitted to us over the last week. Let's find ourselves an ADU. So here we go, proposed detached ADU. But that's the water meter. So this is the person that wants to add a water meter to his particular project. And then here we go with the ADU new attached. So once this project comes in, this information is the same information you're going to see on your user side. It's going to give you your application number. It's going to give you the type of project. It's going to give you when you submitted the project, and then who or what contact was the one that submitted the project. It gives you a fancy little timeline that tells you when you first opened your application and then when it came to us in the city. And then here it maps out where your project is, and it provides you all the zoning information about your project. And then here's your brief description of what the project is, the contact, the valuation, and then all the questions you guys filled out in your application. And then in the end, you're able to upload your plans into the program. So today it's a brief walkthrough as to the program. I know that's a snippet of what the program is, but based on our presentation today, I wanted to give you guys kind of where this is. And again, once we're done and there's some Q&A, I can always come in and give you guys a further in-depth analysis of this program. Or if you guys are interested in doing an application, I can walk you through some of this stuff over here once the presentation is complete. But I did just want to give you guys a brief little trailer of what the program is. And again, my name is David Dent, and we look forward to seeing your application come through our city. Thank you.
And thanks, David. And it's no joke, this GG Ready application system is state-of-the-art. You're very lucky to live in Garden Grove because this is one of the most streamlined permitting systems that I've seen in any city, small or large. So it really is bringing the city to the forefront of 21st century building permit processing, and that's a good thing when it comes time to build. We're also working on developing 5 sets of ADU plans that will be participating in this ADU pre-approval program of the city. So that's coming later this year. There's going to be 5 sets of plans ranging from a studio to a 3-bedroom. The plans are going to be free of charge to use. That is, there's going to be no charge to use the plans themselves. You'll still need to pay for a building permit, of course. And you may also need to hire a designer or a contractor or an engineer to help prepare a site plan to show how they're called ghost plans because they're plans that are kind of floating around and they haven't yet found their home. But when you say, I want to make this plan real on this particular parcel, you need to prepare one additional document, which is a site plan showing where's the existing house, where's the ADU going to go, where are the utilities, where are the lot lines, where's the street. And so there's going to be some instructions on how to prepare that. And we will highly recommend that you hire a professional who's prepared a site plan before to do that for you, just to make sure that everything scales properly. It's a little bit more challenging than you think to draw up a site plan that's exactly to scale. I just want to open up the floor to questions. Does anyone have any questions about anything related to ADUs or GG Ready? Yes, in the back.
Based on that information or just like...
So I hear the question is, what exactly are the standard plans going to be, and are they going to relate to Garden Grove's standard housing stock? And the answer is all of the standard plans are going to be detached ADUs for ADUs that are not connected to the structure. And the reason is that's the only type of standard plan that we think is possible to make. The moment that you talk about modifying an existing structure, you start talking about question marks, questions. What's inside that wall? What is that foundation? Where are the utility connections there? And from the point of view of the building code, the answers to those questions are going to be custom every single time. Even if the house looks like it was a standard plan from a house that was built when the subdivision was originally constructed, you don't really know what happened to that house over the years from a building official point of view. So the only way we can provide standard plans is to think of the standard ADU as something that is detached from any other structures and is built from the ground up, in the backyard. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yes.
Yes, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one that is with new detached ADU, can we do a 2-story?
Oh.
And the second question is what about the parking requirement?
Okay, I'm going to take the second question first. And there is technically a parking requirement of 1 parking space per ADU. However, that's going to be waived for most locations in Garden Grove. If you're within a half-mile walk of a transit stop or of a car share vehicle, there's also 2 other exceptions in state law, but they're less likely. But those 2 alone are going to knock out most of the city. And if you're within one of those zones, then you do not have to build any parking for your ADU. In terms of a 2-story ADU, you can now build an attached 2-story ADU, but a detached 2-story ADU is not legal per Garden Grove's current ordinance. However, this is where, remember earlier I said that you can build an ADU per state of California regulations that took effect last month. And that was one of the things that the state did, is they legalized ADUs of 18 feet in height plus 2 feet to match the slope of the existing house. Again, when they're within a walking distance of a high quality transit stop, you can build a 2-story ADU within those height restrictions, but that's per state law. That's one of the things that the city needs to update to bring the ordinance into compliance with the new state laws, is to address this question of how to legalize 2-story ADUs and where. And that's also, we have some questions related to that in the voting exercise that we'd like to get your feedback on. Yes?
What's the minimum and the maximum size of the ADU you can
Oh, yeah,
Buy the prefab home and set in the backyard.
okay, so two questions. The first question is what's the minimum and maximum size for an ADU? And the second question is can you buy a prefab ADU and put it in the backyard? So in terms of a minimum size, it's less a numerical minimum size than it needs to be the minimum size to accommodate all of those things that an ADU must have. Sanitation, cooking facilities, an area for eating, an area for sleeping. So if you can fit all of those things into an ADU that's 150 square feet, say, then technically that would be legal. I would say that in practical terms, it's rare to see an ADU of less than 200 square feet. But the legal size is set by those attributes of what can you fit into that space. And you have to fit all those 5 elements into the space. The maximum size is 1,000 square feet if it has at least 2 bedrooms. Otherwise, it's 850 square feet for a 1-bedroom ADU. And then there's a couple of other size thresholds you should be aware of. At 500 square feet, there's an impact fee that you have to start paying for schools. And at 750 square feet, there are a couple of other fees that kick in. So the cost varies depending on the size of the ADU as well. Yes? Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry about that. Second question.
Second question is, can we buy the prefab?
In the prefab, so I believe technically, yes, it is legal to buy a prefab ADU and place it in the backyard. It's just that you need to go through the site plan and the building permit approvals for it as if it's any other structure. You and then you?
Those fees that you were just mentioning, are those one-time fees? Is that a monthly fee?
Those are one-time fees, yeah. Those are the approval fees.
How much are those?
Depends on the size of your ADU and the valuation of the ADU. Yeah, you know, it's going to be in the range of what you want to speak to the fees, the average fees?
The average fees range, I believe, is from anywhere between 8,000 and 15,000.
Yeah. In the back, and then you?
So right now, Garden Grove, are we only able to add ADUs to the backyard even if you have a big half-acre front yard?
Okay, now that's an interesting question. Per the existing ordinance, the answer is you are limited to areas that are outside of the setbacks. And if you have a large front yard, in most zones, roughly the first 20 feet are going to be in the front setback, and you're not able to build there per the current ADU ordinance. Now, there is an exception that was in the new legislation that was just passed, which is you have a right to build an 850 square foot ADU on your property under California law. And if that ADU doesn't fit anywhere else on your property and the only place it can fit is in the front setback, the new legislation says you can build it in the front setback. But right now, that is only if it doesn't fit anywhere else on the property. And it's a little bit unclear. The state, when they wrote that legislation, did not give us the laundry list of how to define what fits and what doesn't. And so that's something that we're working out, is trying to put some more guidelines around that decision. One and then one.
So you mentioned there would be impact fees depending on the size of the ADU, but then you said that it starts at 500 square feet, but that's the minimum size of an ADU. Otherwise, it's a junior ADU.
No, actually, that's not true. You can call something either an ADU or a junior ADU if it's under 500 square feet. That's your choice as the applicant. Yeah, it's not a junior ADU just because it's under 500 square feet. It's a junior ADU because you say, when you're clicking on the application, I'm pulling a permit for a junior ADU. But a junior ADU can't be over 500.
But I believe, am I correct in saying that a junior ADU cannot legally be rented? An ADU can, but
A junior ADU can be rented, but the owner has to live in the main house. Yeah, yeah. Another question?
Other than impact fees, are there any other fees for the
So Lisa said that the fees are roughly $8,000 to $15,000 all in. That's for all of the fees associated with the building permit and the impact fees and the other fees that are charged, OC SAN. Yeah, exactly. The school fee, yeah, if it's over 500 square feet, yeah. Question?
It's actually a three-part question.
Okay.
If you're doing cash, can you apply it towards your cost of construction? If you're paying the construction in cash, number one. Number two, if you're gonna take down the old house because it's no longer functional, so it suffers from functional obsolescence. If you're leveling the old house and you build a brand new house with an ADU and a junior ADU attached to the house, would you get 3 signs of credit, or just are you limited to 1 credit per address?
I believe you're limited to 1 credit per applicant, but you'll need to check with Cal HFA. That you may all be able to get 40,000. I'm not positive the answer to that question. But in terms of if you have all cash, you still need to work with an approved lender, and the reason is that the money is given on a construction draw basis. State of California wants to know if they're giving you $40,000, that at the end result of the process, the state of California gets 1 more legal housing unit constructed. And so to ensure that the state gets its share of the bargain, they want to see a construction inspection regime where the lender is sending out an inspection at various points in the construction process to make sure that that money is turning into a new home over a certain period of time. So you'll need to find a lender who will work with you and to do an all-cash deal and integrate it into the construction draw process. And I'm not sure which lenders to steer you towards. There's a list of approved lenders on the Cal HFA website, which is available on board 3 back there. And it has to be one of the lenders on the approved list.
Can I speak to that real quick?
Yes.
Not to send it sideways, but there is a nonprofit on the Cal HFA website that all cash ADU builders can get the grant, which I did.
Perfect.
You do not need a lender. It's a nonprofit organization.
You could work with the nonprofit and they have a
It helps
construction.
walk you through
Yeah.
the process and do all the inspections that you're talking about.
Right. So this word lender is maybe not specifically. It's an approved organization on the list, most of which are lenders, and there's also
HPP Cares.
HPP Cares. Yeah, and they're here in Southern California. Yeah, they're great. And I wanted to make one more clarifying point. I had previously said that the school impact fee kicks in at 500 square feet. While state legal precedent allows that to be the case, you all are lucky enough to be in Garden Grove, and here in Garden Grove, the school impact fee does not kick in until 750 square feet, same as any other impact fees. Any other questions? Yes?
Build the whole thing with your own money.
If you build the whole thing, can you still get the $40,000? If you work with HPP Cares to do a construction inspection regime, then yes, you can. Yes.
Does the city allow for 2 ADUs on one property?
1 ADU and 1 junior ADU are allowed on the same property. Yes.
On the junior ADU, I heard you say, I think, that the owner has to live in the front, in the main house.
Or vice versa, the owner can move into the junior ADU and rent out the main house. State law says that a junior ADU has an owner occupancy requirement, and the owner has to live in either the junior or the main. That does not apply to normal ADUs. That is the owner occupancy requirement is only for junior ADUs. Remember when we had this discussion about if it's under 500 square feet, does that make it a junior ADU? And I said the answer is no. One of the reasons why you might want to call an ADU, even if it's under 500 square feet, is if you don't want to live there. If you want to rent out the main house and the small ADU under 500 square feet, then you would not want to call it a junior ADU, because if you call it a junior ADU, it comes with the owner occupancy requirement, which gets recorded on title. A really, really tiny apartment complex. I mean, really small. Yes.
You had mentioned that Garden Grove is one of 5 cities. What are the others? I'm just curious.
That I'm working with? Sure thing. I'm working with also with Buena Park, Paramount, Santa Fe Springs, and Compton. Yes, not all in Orange County. Yeah. Eh, one more question? Yes? 2 more?
Homeowner can modify the size of ADU? No, just has to be fitting as in the size of garage.
The size of the ADU what now?
Can we modify size of ADU?
Can you, if you're doing a conversion ADU of an existing structure, can you modify the size of the existing structure? Yes, you can, as long as it's within the other size limits. It's just as long as you stay within the overall size restrictions for ADUs of up to 1,200 square feet for occupable space, and then you can even do an attached garage as long as the ADU plus the garage plus the covered porch does not exceed 1,500 square feet or 1,600? 1,500 square feet, yeah.
So before I end here, thank you so much for your time. And we have expert here. So if tonight you forget about something, or you feel shy, you don't know what to say, or you don't want to ask a question, feel free to call them at the city, reach out to them, and you know where our city is. So thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening.